Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of iCast Fireball, an actual play 5e D&D adventure where we go through the campaign Skulls and Shackles. I am Thomas, your DM for this adventure, and around the table we have...
Lieutenant Ignis Halcon.
Maximus Shans.
Ataraxia Kalian.
And Buster Bilgewater.
Well, we are back after a successful attack against this enemy ship. Liberation, shall we say, of this enemy ship. As only one person in charge, plus all of these Sahuagin, were really leading the attack. And Knuckles, Free Captain Knuckles, has been released not only from the charge of a dictator, but also been given intelligence, granted intelligence and life. Max just being as gracious as he possibly could be. However, with the enemy down below, having sent one of your most enthusiastic crew members, Sandara, made you aware of a disturbance that had happened below deck. With herself bleeding, after she healed herself, she ran and you saw the carnage of Glenlivet dead. And that is where we join us on this week's episode of iCast Fireball.
You said Smiley was there and she saw the whole thing?
Oh, yes, she did.
Who went down? Who followed
I think we all did.
Sandara down?
Just Ignis.
Oh, I thought we were all down there.
No, I think it was just
Nope,
you.
Lieutenant Ignis was the only... Because Knuckles is... They're still talking and getting things situated and...
So Ignis being the only one to see Glenn and the dead other captain, you said both of them were dead?
Isabella Inkskin Locke is dead, run through by the new sword that Sandara has been gifted as well.
Ignis will look at Lady Smiley and go, "What happened?"
He's going to lock her up, and she turned around, choked him out, grabbed his knife, killed him before he could even gasp or say anything, and then as she was trying to sneak out, Sandara was close behind, and Sandara, she's quite a woman to have as a second, third, or fourth mate, whatever her title may be, and she just goes silent.
Did we say that this hold was the hold with all the goats, or are we in a different part of the boat?
This does have all of the goats that he cleared out a cell for Inkskin specifically for propriety or nicety's sake, and was not treated with that same niceness.
Ignis will walk over to Lady Smiley and pick up the rope that's around her hands and just lead her out back to the stairs and up onto the deck. And then Ignis will hand the lady off to Sandara. As she gives the rope lead to Sandara, she'll just lean in and go, "Nobody down in the hold. Do you understand me?"
Aye. Aye.
And not a word to the crew. And she gives her a meaningful look that she knows exactly Sandara knows what she's referring to.
And she takes off her cloak and throws it over the dead bodies, just so they're not immediately noticeable if somebody happens to look down a hallway.
Leaving Sandara with the lady and orders, she will go over to the rest of the crew who is still talking to Knuckles and fully interrupt their conversation without apology. "I need to talk to you in the captain's quarters now." And she'll look at Ataraxia with the sternest look that she can muster how important this is to go and talk right now. Obviously an adult to a child. She's never looked at him like this. It is imperative that they go talk.
Yeah, Ataraxia turns back to Knuckles and says, "Hey, Captain, enjoy your ship."
Brother, we will wait for you. We will moor ourselves here. We will stay put, and we will follow you.
Booyah.
And with that, he just jumps over the side of the ship into the water, even though his ship is super close, and just starts swimming back He's not the most intelligent, but he is more intelligent.
A little bit more intelligent than he was.
He's a little bit.
He's doing
a little more
a
intelligent.
I'm so glad he's on our side. So are we good to make for the rock?
Ignis will usher everyone over to the
everyone.
the captain's quarters.
Oh, she's calling everybody. I thought she was
Everyone
just
to
Alright.
the captain's quarters.
Council meeting.
It's all yours, Jorge. Keep it steady.
See?
As we're anchored in the ocean.
See?
We're sitting right here.
It's all yours, Jorge.
So he's just sitting down whittling from a stick and doesn't get up at all.
Somebody's got to
It's
stay
just-
at the helm.
Yeah.
I know, just
See?
him saying, see.
Yes, correct. We are at sea. I want you to stay at the helm. All right.
So the crew's to the captain's quarters. The door is closed. Lady Smythe ushered in. Ignis, the floor is yours.
Oh, sorry. I meant Lady Smythe stays with Zendara. That's why she gave.
Lady Smythe is nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be heard, not in this room.
Ignis walks in, and as she closes the door, without ceremony, she just turns around and says, "Glenn is dead. Down in the hold. Inkskin killed him." And she watches for their reactions. And what is everyone's reaction to that news?
Dang.
Glenn was the crewmate that we sent down there with them. Is that right? This is Buster honestly asking. Josh knows who he is.
Yeah, we asked him to watch over the prisoners, and it sounds like the prisoners got the best of him.
Yeah, he was a doof. I told you it probably wasn't wise for us to send him down there with the dangerous free captains that we had been capturing. I said that, right? It wasn't just an intrusive thought. I actually said it. Didn't I say it? I should have said it if I didn't say it. It was a bad idea.
Good to know. And Ataraxia pulls out a scroll and starts making note of the big mistake that he made.
Oh, out of player curiosity. No. Out of character curiosity. What is everyone's reaction to that? Because Ignis could not care less about the fact that this man is dead. Like, just couldn't care.
What do we see as we pan from like left to right? We know Ataraxia. We have a lot of context there. Buster, these words that you're saying. What's like what are we seeing though, or like what is underneath as these words start to sink in? As it's such unceremoniously just quickly said by Ignis, specifically with Buster. As the seconds go on, what could we glean, or what feelings would come to the surface here?
Buster's absolutely angry, and the anger is definitely like masking. I don't know how transparent his emotions are. I mean, he's got his usual kind of grumpy old rabbit vibes going on, but I think it's kind of that like he doesn't like that it happened. He wishes that it hadn't happened, and he's kind of reverting to blaming Ataraxia for making that call as like a way to deflect from being upset, I think. I also think he quiets up. After the outburst, he just gets quiet.
Max has the face of a dragon, so there's not a lot of... It's hard to read emotion, I would say, on Max's face, but it's just very much like his eyes are kind of darting back and forth to everybody, and just very, very solemn. He's treating most often, like as has been described, Max seems almost abstract, or like just like, oh yeah, I like almost not present, and probably for the first time in a little bit, he's very present.
And what happened to the free captain that killed him?
She's dead too. Zendara with that sword that Max somehow found for her. Apparently is very heroic, according to Lady Smythe. As Ignis pans across their faces, there is one that clearly sticks out. Glenn's death is going to have an effect on the crew, and Buster seems appropriately upset, even though Ignis would have expected grief. It is anger, and Max is solemn. And just in between them is this little 13-year-old satyr with a smile across his face. And that is not the picture of somebody who should give the news to a crew. that a crewman has died. And so she makes a decision and locks eyes with the captain and says, I believe it's best for everyone, particularly the morale of the crew, as we're trying to go into Tidewater Rock. If we break the news of Glenn's death and you stay in your cabin, Captain, I don't think it's a good idea for you to go out there with that smile on your face. The crew will be grieving, and they don't need somebody who's blissful talking about it or walking around looking like nothing's wrong.
See, that's why I have the rest of you guys around, because you come up with the good ideas.
Oh, yeah. And, we can tell him that Captain's grieving in his own way. Because if they don't think you're going to be sad about their deaths, that's going to be bad from a leadership standpoint.
Does the crew know that he's cursed, or is it just us?
I think it's just you.
Okay. I forgot if that was a common knowledge.
I know Ataraxia is probably not shy about sharing it, but
Yeah, I think there was that moment when we made an example of the bear. And I think he did kind of publicly come out and just be all like, yep, it's true, I can only feel bliss.
But he's also really open about being like a fey creature. I think there's probably... My gut would be that, like Glenlivet, most of the crew revere him with some kind of mysticism.
Yeah.
yeah. Because, I mean, even amongst the three of you, they were like, is he actually 13? You know, like, it was said once, but like, okay, but like, is it actually, you know, so...
But I think at Ignis mentioning that he shouldn't be the one to tell the crew, he should stay in his cabin, Buster immediately clues in on like, yeah, his reaction is actually creepy. Like it actually is like it's unsettling and a little dehumanizing from the perspective of the crew. Like I think Buster realizes if these people don't think that he'll care if they die, it's going to be really hard to get them to go to battle for him.
Which is a good point, Buster. At this moment, the three of you were brought together by fate or by a circumstance or chance, and you have made and are continuing to make the best out of the situation. But this is one of those pivotal moments, like probably a core moment, where the severity of Ataraxia's curse and the knowledge that like this absolutely is a curse finally sets in, with each of you being mature, at least in years, whether or not in personality. It sets in of like, it's a big moment that can pivot people towards somebody, away from somebody, or towards action for certain. And there's just an uncomfortable silence as this all is starting to set in, as you each come to this conclusion. And Ataraxia, as this silence is pretty normal for you. I mean, growing up, there was you'd have moments like this where kids are playing with you, and then something would happen, and most of the kids would go silent and kind of like either look at each other or look at you, and you're like, oh, hey, it's one of those moments, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't hard to leave the orphanage.
Yeah.
All right, then that's settled. I'll go tell the crew. Buster, I need you up on helm.
Right, making our way for the rock, right?
Yeah, let's go to Tidewater Rock. We told Knuckles that we'd be heading there. And also, we do still have to figure out... Sir Royster's going to be super ticked at us when we get back to the island. So we're going to need to figure out how to make sure that Lady Smythe is able to smooth that all over.
Fair point.
Captain,
That's me.
who would you like to present the news to the crew?
Ataraxia, this is an interesting question, actually. I think he's going to look around between the three, see Ignis with her brusqueness, with her harsh, rough exterior, see Buster also just coping through anger, and looking at Max in between these two people who are sort of treating this very harshly. I think Ataraxia is going to choose Max.
As you wish, Captain.
Yes, of course.
I think this is a good opportunity for you to endear yourself to the crew. You're a pretty quiet guy.
Am I not already endearing?
Sorry.
Well, no, this is the thing is you just don't talk a lot. I think this is a good opportunity for people to see your investment in the crew.
Fair enough. On your orders, Captain. And Max will start kind of walking out.
Ignis will follow.
You don't think we should secure the heart, do you? I'm just doing a double check while we're all here.
Oh, heart's already secured. Real quick.
Buster is still cursed, for sure.
Yeah. Real quick, before you all leave, I know that this is really rough for people who know how to feel things. I'm sorry for you guys and for the loss that you're feeling.
No, you're not.
I don't feel anything at all.
Oh, cool. Maybe we're more similar than I thought, Ignis.
She doesn't like that.
Yeah, I can't imagine that she would, for sure.
Just because someone feels bliss doesn't mean they feel content, Buster. He can feel bliss and still be sorry. Captain, you don't not feel. You just feel what we all wish we felt.
Fair point. Okay. Yeah. He's gonna get down on Ataraxia's level and look at the place where you wrote that you made a big mistake or whatever. He's gonna say, okay, look, while you're in here, waiting for the crew to get the news and not see you, for future you should probably write down the things you remember about Glenn that you liked about him. That, the good memories of who he was and what he meant. I think when you're able to experience emotions, that'll probably matter. I'm sorry for what I said.
It's all good, man. Like we said, like a long, long time ago, you said that you would feel stuff for me, and you are, and I appreciate that.
Okay.
And let me tell you, it's not going to be difficult to come up with things to like about Glenn. I really, really liked that guy.
That hits Buster in like a way he was not prepared for, and I think his eyes actually start to water. He goes, okay, all right. Sink me. All right, He walks out the door, and you may hear him under his breath going, I hate being a pirate.
As Ignis walks past Max to leave the quarters, she just very quietly to Max goes, we don't all wish to be content.
I didn't say that. I said we all wish to feel bliss. It's not the same thing. I could feel happy and yet want more. The captain wants to kill Harrigan. The captain wants to find home. He's not content.
Ignis will leave.
As Ataraxia, you're left writing the things you liked about Glenlivet and just doing the only thing you know how to do to cope with not being able to feel anything other than bliss. Just jotting it down. So intellectually, you know how to at least help others react, or maybe like things that you know how to respond in a way to. You write all this down, and you write all the things about Glenlivet down, and it's a while, because Glenlivet, man, you got close. He made sure that he was always close to you, and always chatting with you, and always copying you and doing stuff. So there's a lot about Glenn that you can write down.
Yeah. And, I'm doing my bard's duty. I'm doing the same thing that my mom did way back in the day, where she would write down the stories of the people she would meet in the various taverns across the docks of Absalom. And I think back to all of the people who I read about in those scrolls who probably nobody would remember if my mom hadn't written about them. And so I write about Glenn, knowing that because I am, people are going to remember it.
Yes. As Max, you lead and gather the crew. I imagine you're right by the helm.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I will. What I'm going to do is, as we walk out of the cabin, he'll go up to Zendara and he'll say, Zendara, could we assemble the crew on the main deck of the ship in 20 minutes?
She goes, oh, yeah, that could be arranged, yeah.
Perfect.
But she grabs your arm and gets close, real close. And she goes, but the bodies, what should we do with them?
I will take care of Glenn. the enemy captain. Throw her out a portal. I don't care.
All right. I'll rummage around her things first just to see. And Ignis, as I imagine you walk up around at this time, are you close behind Max, Ignis? Am I correct in assuming that?
I technically walked out before him, but I could be part of the conversation if you wanted me to be. I was going to go up by Buster on the helm.
Okay, then this is just Max and her then. And she's like, I'll rummage around a few things and I'll see what I can find.
Sandar's looting the body.
I thought I looted her when we captured her.
Well, she didn't have, according to Thomas's description, she had very little clothing on.
An incomplete mummy's outfit.
She goes, Besmara would besmirch me if I didn't ensure that anything valuable was given to the captain.
Of course. And Max will head down to, I assume with kind of Sindar, because Sindar is going to take care of the body after she's kind of spreads the word of the meeting in 20 minutes. And Max will go down to the hold to look over Glenn.
While this is happening, Ignis and Buster, you are on the helm, and the sun has risen. Again, if you recall, this all happened right as day was breaking. The fog has cleared. There's no more magical fog or mist to obscure your vision. And as you look towards where you need to go, it has been a crazy 12 hours even that you've had. And both of you just kind of stand in silence for a little bit.
Since Max has started to spread the word about a crew meeting in 20 minutes on the deck, means that we can't go anywhere because the crew is needed to sail. So
Well, yeah, I think Buster's just turning the ship around so that we're facing the direction we're going to be going.
Sure.
For the most part.
So as they're standing there next to each other, Ignis at parade rest next to Buster, she just goes, "Don't think I've forgotten about your little stunt trying to find the heart. Defying a direct order from the captain. Actions have consequences." She takes a deep breath. I'm not exactly sure how pirates might handle this kind of punishment, but in the army of Rolterra, mistakes are paid in blood. Angels are perfect. It's our mortal bodies that are weak. The mortal body must be marked for our mistakes so we can see how far from perfection we have fallen. So they're cut. The scars are forever etched in our skin for all to see. And before you can react, Ignis reaches out and takes Buster's arm in a firm grip by the elbow so that their forearms are laying flat against each other. She pulls out a knife and quickly slides it across Buster's fur on the back of his forearm, causing a thin line of blood to dot his fur. The cut isn't like a deep gash across his arm, but it does cut into his skin and cut some of that fur there, and it will probably need stitches. At the very minimum, some kind of bandaging around it to keep it from bleeding. And as she's holding your arm, you look down and your eyes fall on her bracers. And you realize that she has a leather bracer on both of her forearms, reaching from her wrist all the way up to her elbow. Each bracer has 4 button-like emblems on them. They're little round, almost stones set into a metal housing. 3 of them are white, and 1 of them is black. The worse the crime, the more obvious the punishment. And as you look back up and we meet each other's gazes again, you can clearly see the scar running across Ignis's nose and down her left cheek. Ignis will drop Buster's arm and will reach into a pouch at her belt and will pull out some like gauze and bandaging and will throw it to him. And will say, "Now get yourself cleaned up." She goes, the ship needs a captain on our way to Tidewater Rock, and it's our responsibility to make sure everybody gets there safe. and that's her level of punishment for him.
He'll just say, I don't think he does anything. He doesn't jump away. His ears definitely go back. I think he immediately understands the tone and gets the vibe that, like, trying to avoid this will just make things worse for him. So afterwards, like, you know, you guys have that look, and then he gets back to the helm, looks away from you, and you just hear him say, aye, aye, Lieutenant.
So then we'll just wait in very awkward, tense silence until the crew assembles.
As well, Mickey, go and take some inspiration. That was pretty bad. No, that was sweet.
I was worried I was going to lose something.
Yeah, lose an arm, right? And you have to like mage hand for the rest of the campaign.
We're going to start taking notches out of my ear.
That actually would have been really cool.
That would have been
a notch out of your ear. Oh. Nope, just a scratch.
So, 20 minutes go by, and the crew is gathered. There are a few that are looking around. There's like one person who's kind of like, you can see like noticeably like kind of looking around the rest of the crew and looking and kind of like starts whispering.
Glenn's buddy.
Oh.
Glenlivet and Len Glevitt.
And Len Glevitt.
He does.
Didn't he have a buddy he talked to all the time where he's like, the Captain's Council's so cool?
He was talking to Daynata before.
Daynata at one point, but there was another buddy, I believe, right, Ned?
Yeah, there was also Fitzroy at one point, who we've completely forgotten about.
Fitzroy.
We've rewritten him.
Thank you, Actual Vampire, it's Actual Vampire, right?
Yeah, been going through and naming all of the NPCs that we've listed on the ship.
Right before Max kind of comes up from the hold, he's gonna probably at some point, I would imagine, catch Zendara as she's walking around the ship and go,
"Could you, before we start our meeting, go see if the captain has written a few things down that he remembers about Glenlivet, and bring them to me, if you don't mind."
I can do that for you. Captain, quick word, if you will.
Hey, you can have more than one if you want.
We're about to have the meeting out here, and Maximilian, he'd be wondering if you written anything about Glenn he could read up above as he makes the announcement.
Oh, absolutely. And I start rolling up the scroll that I've been writing on, and it takes me like a solid 10 seconds to roll up this scroll, and I kind of pat the ends of it between my hands to get it all nice and straight, and then I hand it over to her and say, yeah, there we go. He can choose just a selection if he wants, because I don't know if the crew wants to be there for as long as it would take to read the entire thing. But yeah.
Aye, this looks quite voluminous, scroll here, so...
Hey, there's a lot of good stuff to say about it.
I'll just tell him to pick and choose, or maybe, yeah, that sounds best. Aye, Captain. I'll bring it back forthwith.
Booyah. And I just give her the satyr horns and head back over to my desk.
As you do the satyr horns, you turn around, but you don't necessarily see this. But Sandara is just... her head just like sinks down a little bit, and she just takes a real big breath. And it's a little raggedy as she shuts the door as she slowly goes up to Max and hands the paper over.
Zendara, by the way, how are you doing? You took quite a wound, I heard.
Oh, I'm a cleric. I can heal myself. I can be on death's door, and as long as I got my magic, I can just, breath of life, sort of a situation there. I'd be fine.
Are you okay?
Just staring right back at you, she just says, "I'd be fine."
Alrighty.
and Max will kind of tuck the scroll into just like a side little pouch if he has like a little, bag. And he has actually Glenn in his arms that he's going to kind of walk up to the deck of the ship.
Still covered, at least?
he has, I should preface this, he's dressed up or cleaned off Glenn. Like, he has tried to wipe off the blood as much as possible from, like, clothing. He has, if there's any eyes open or mouth agape, he has closed it kind of in a respectful manner of someone who's passed. And so, yes, Glenn is covered kind of still in the same cloth, but his face is seen. And he'll kind of walk out, and as the crew's kind of, like, gathered and lined up, he'll kind of, like, rest Glenlivet down, look at the crew, and he looks so nervous. He was not expecting himself to be the person who talked, because he's like, he is holding everything within him to not let out his nervous laugh that he does when he's in awkward situations. And he's just standing there and he goes,
Crewmates of the Satyr's song. We've lost one of our own today. The opposing captain of our fight killed our crewmate Glenlivet.
and he'll just pause, and you can just see like his eyes kind of darting back and forth, back and forth.
We are here as a crew with one goal in mind. Freedom. We all escaped together to be free. This is our home. This ship. This boat. We are a family. Families love each other. Families fight.
And he'll look up to the helmsman.
It's hitting. You're hitting. He's listening. Full attention.
Families make mistakes. But if we stay together, we fight for one another. Glenlivet was not a very good pirate, but he was a good crewmate.
And he'll look at the guys he knows Glenn talked to a lot.
Fitzroy is actually having to be held up by the person next to him. There's a one of the bigger, stronger individuals is actually got both of his arms under Fitzroy's in his armpits, and Fitzroy's his face is almost like slack, and he's losing the color in his face as his face gets white as he's trying to stand up, and like he's pushing the guy, trying to push him off, but like grabbing his shirt and pulling him at the same time, not knowing what he's trying to do. Like he doesn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Grieving.
Our captain is currently in his quarters. Not because of indifference, but as we know, he is cursed to feel only bliss, happiness. He felt it best that in his curse, he not plague us in a sense of mourning. But I know Glenn was a good crewmate, because in our captain's bliss, he remembers this.
And he'll unsheathe the scroll all the way down,
with the title at the very top in big bold, the Ballad of Glenlivet, right?
Yeah. And he'll be like,
I was told not to read it all. But from what I gather,
he's looking at it.
Glenn had only one dimple when he smiled. Glenn always gave Satyr horns for respect.
Satyr horns. Someone's in the audience and they do their own Satyr horns as well.
Glenn followed orders, even when he didn't know exactly how. Glenn loved this ship.
And Max will kind of turn around and take out or find very quickly a dagger and walk up to the mast and stab in the list, the Ballad of Glenlivet. As he imagines, it's written out and it's very eloquent and everything, but it probably hasn't taken up the whole scroll in the time. And Max will just turn and he'll be like,
To celebrate our crewmate, if you would like to add anything else that gave you bliss about Glenlivet, add it to the ballad, and we will sing of him on the Satyr song as long as wind fills our sails.
Gust of winds, the minor spell to emphasize the moment.
Yeah, it brushes past the whole crew towards Max as Buster's in the back now. Max having moved, just a gentle breeze as it's amongst all of them, and the sails, they catch and make that noise of like, and they furl around, almost singing the music of the sea.
I appreciate you all.
and Max has a very abstract look, usually, because of his just lizard face. But you see like him kind of like tuck and get choked, and he'll be like,
Families of blood, families are chosen. I am happy to choose you. I hope you will make the same choice for each other.
One by one, person in the middle, it's actually Guts, the chef. He raises his hand, and he just very deliberately creates a satyr horn as he lifts it above his head. And those around him, they also raise a satyr horn until it just spreads through this silence as everybody on deck gives the satyr horns with one or two hands, as Glenn had done every time. And there's a silence before they start dispersing and walking back to their responsibilities.
after Max's kind of speech and as everyone's dispersing, Max is going to walk in almost a very aggressive and brisk manner directly toward Buster. And he'll, climbing up the stairs to the helm, he's going to walk up to Buster and it's almost like, is he going to stop? Like, he's just walking very, briskly, and he will stop, but at a very, awkward, close, almost, doesn't, break in personal space. And he'll be like,
Here's 5 potions. We recovered. I don't know what they do. You can figure it out.
and he'll look down at Buster's arms, noticing, they're bandaged.
Oh, I didn't know you were wounded in the fight.
And he'll reach out and cast Cure Wounds.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Stop.
I'm sorry.
This one's got a scar.
I'm sorry.
Max, it was a beautiful speech, okay? It was good. If you could, find a spare dagger, and he pulls a little scrap that he has, that he was fiddling with while everyone was writing stuff on the Ballad of Glenlivet. He hands it to you, and it's just got written really scratchy, you know what I mean? He didn't have a good surface to write on, and it just is, the Ballad of Tim. And underneath is written, "Gone before the song, but will not be forgotten." Could you just put that on the mats for me? He's kind of he's fighting emotions really hard.
Of course. But sir, I got angry at you and hurt you, and I felt like you were taking away the family that I had when I've already lost another. I'm sorry.
Max, I don't ever want you to stop keeping an eye on me. I think it's needed.
Oh, I 100% am very suspicious of you, but I'm sorry still.
Good. Listen, it's like a thought occurs to him, amidst all this, and he is gonna put a hand on your arm, say whatever's going on with you, if you mean what you said just now, you gotta figure it out. Okay? I don't care if it's with us, with Ataraxia, or by yourself or whatever, but I don't like the things unsaid with you.
Understand.
Both of you feel this pressure behind your backs, and you actually get closer and closer together, and you're like, what the? And Donata is just pushing both of you together.
See.
And he just goes, see.
Familia.
And he just keeps pushing you, and just like,
Quick hug.
come on now.
Quick hug, then
Yeah.
done.
Okay.
Quick hug, then done. Get out of here, Donata. We don't need you at the helm anymore.
And then he walks away.
Max is gonna head to the captain's quarters, but we can get to that later.
Yeah. Ignis.
Watching the way that Max gave such an impassioned speech, and watching the crew do the satyr horns, and then Max and Buster reconciling, as Ignis just stands over to the side and watches all of this happen, she attributes the crew camaraderie and the emotions that these men feel and are able to express to Ataraxia. Even though Ataraxia doesn't feel it, she in her mind feels like they're connected, almost like because he doesn't, these two are able to. And watching the crew all come together and satyr horns for their fallen comrades and come together as a crew, even though Ataraxia is only 13, really gets to Ignis. And underneath the surface, she is so mad. Just so mad, because she can't do that. She's trying so hard to be that kind of leader, and so far, she has failed over and over and over again. And so to see Ataraxia do that, just like she starts to boil underneath the surface.
I will say, at some point, Buster starts to feel like the vibes are getting too mellow, and we still have a big thing to accomplish. So he is gonna thump on the top of the helm to kind of signal to the captain's quarters if he can, for Ataraxia to get out here, and I don't know, Ned, if you have plans of Ataraxia coming out, because if Buster sees you, he'll make a quick shout to everybody to pay attention.
Oh, I thought Max was going down to talk to him.
Oh, is he? Okay,
yeah,
okay, never mind,
You
never
saw
mind.
Max.
I was going to, but if he comes out, he comes out. So
Yeah, Ataraxia is conspicuously not leaving the captain's quarters.
Yes.
Buster will start whipping people into order. He's gonna be like, Lieutenant, we need to get going. I know we've got, we spent a lot of time on this, but the other ship's ready.
And Ignis will give out the call to all hands on deck, signal the bosun who gives the whistle, and everybody goes back to their stations to get the ship underway.
Absolutely. Ataraxia, while this is happening, is there anything new or anything different that Ataraxia is doing? I imagine you hear the speech, and you're probably listening out, but maybe you're not. Ned, what do you feel Ataraxia would be doing if anything different?
Yeah, I think by the time Max eventually makes it to the captain's quarters and opens up the door, he's going to find Ataraxia kind of busy at one of the walls, the longest wall of the captain's quarters, and there are scrolls pinned up all along this wall, very similar to the scroll pinned up to the mast, and there is one long banner all the way across the top, and it reads, "To be remembered before they are gone." And then underneath that banner is just scroll after scroll after scroll, and written across the top of each one in large letters are the names Ignis, Buster, Max, Sandara, Fishguts, Jorge Donata, Fitzroy, Muscles, Beret, Lefroy, just every single crew member. And he's currently in the process of, he's starting with the Captain's Council and is just jotting down things under each of their names, kind of going back and forth between all of them, starting to fill out all these lists. And so, yeah, Max, that is what you see when you enter the captain's quarters.
Whoa. Captain.
That's me.
Yes. The crew seems receptive to the news, and we are on our way to the Rook.
Nice.
Captain, if I may,
Absolutely.
I did speak for you, and I want to make sure that I was correct. In your feeling of bliss, are you content?
Well, I mean, there's a reason why I'm trying to find my mom. There's a reason why I'm trying to get this curse lifted. There's a reason why I'm trying to help you guys with your goals. It's because I still want things. I think it would be really cool if I could find my mom someday. I think it would be really cool if I could eventually be able to feel something aside from just bliss. I want things. I realize that there's a lot about me that's not right, and I want to try and fix that if possible.
Hearing that, Max will kind of stand there nodding, and then he'll walk up to Ataraxia and kneel down, kind of at his height, because Max is very tall for Dragonborn. And he'll like tentatively, because he's a little apprehensive, but he'll reach out and put his hand on the captain's shoulders, and he'll say,
Ataraxia, you're a 13-year-old who's captain of a pirate ship. You can command us to do anything. What do you want?
Dang. We can go like anywhere, can't we? We've got a ship. We've got a full ocean ahead of us.
We do. I'll ask you again. Not what sounds fun, what sounds right in stories. What are you not content with that you want?
Man, I mean, the reason why I left the orphanage in the first place was to find my mom.
and Max will give the biggest toothy smile and go,
Then order us to find your mom.
And seeing the smile growing, the two members of the crew who can't stop smiling, both smiles grow in intensity. And Ataraxia goes, well, bring in the rest of the council then.
Yes, Captain.
and Max will go fetch the others.
As the captain's crew is coming together, captain's council, everybody, a lot happening in these past few short moments. Everybody grieving, everybody resolving, talking, and with still more things to come. That is where we're going to end this week's episode of I Cast Fireball.
Feelings!
And we didn't roll once.
Yeah!
That was wild.
That was
That
wild.
was wild.
I did not anticipate that much resolution in one episode.
Yeah.
That was so
Wow.
Oh,
Woo.
the storytelling and the improv. You guys are so good.
I'm not gonna lie. I honestly, like Josh, was like, "This isn't a big deal, is it?" It's just Glenn, but like, God, what? It was so good. At the Ataraxia's reaction. Oh,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
devastating,
Yeah.
all the things he could think of. Man, that was great. Shoot.
We're making it a big deal.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, folks, this is always fun. Even when we're grieving, it's fun.
I thought to myself as Max decided to share the whole thing with everybody and like stamp it on the mass, I was like, oh no, everybody's gonna want that when they die now. Like it's like that's gonna be like an expectation. And the fact that like Ataraxia has already started it was crazy.
You're like, oh gosh.
Oh good.
I was shocked as a player to like hear your reactions because that was not at all what I thought the reactions would be. So that was really
Wild.
fun to like. Yeah, it was wild to hear it all kind of play out.
Oh, that was a ton of fun. Thanks, Jacob, Mickey, Josh, Ned, as always, for playing and being so engaged and in the moment, in the story. But listeners, thank you for following along. You listened to an episode about grief. Thank you. Thank you for following along on this fun adventure that we've got going on.
Now go call your mom. Call your mom now.
Call your mom.
Go call
family.
your loved ones. Go call your family. Tell them you love them. Tell them that D&D brought you closer to them. And
Tell us about
if you want to tell us how it went, if you want to tell us how it went, you can shoot us a message at icastspiral2020@gmail.com. Man, that's a transition.
No, yeah, write
or
your
you
ballad.
can- and or you can join our patron exclusive Discord, where we may just have a channel now called the Ballad of ... and we can share the results of this episode. So regardless, thank you. Go take a look at that. It feels a little weird plugging other people right now, but we're gonna plug our sister podcast, Improv Tabletop. Go listen to them. They've got a lot of catharsis on their show as well, so go listen to them. Give them a 5-star review, and don't forget to leave. Don't forget to tell your mom you love them after you watch that episode. Lastly, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends, fellow wacky adventurers. But until next time, I'm Thomas, your DM, and around the table we've had
Lieutenant Ignis Halcon.
Maximus Shuns.
Ataraxia Kalian.
Water.
I'm Thomas. I'm having all the feelings, and we'll see you next time.